Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Through his,
That's Harold.
through
Petty.
his
He said good
eyes,
evening.
everything else was covered up.
Harold said good evening.
Good evening.
All right, we're live on YouTube and ready when you are.
Well, we're ready to go. We've got the Brave here today. We've got Carl and Tommy, and I don't know who this masked lady is sitting beside me here, Barbara Johnson.
Well, y'all are,
And we got Katie down here.
And you've got Harold and
Got it.
Aaron on the line.
Harold, just got two on the line. Okay. This won't take a long time, guys. We ain't got a lot of things to go over here. Let's see. I don't know that we got any reports from any standing committees.
Probably, I believe the capital committee, Jason will have one.
Who will?
Jason.
Jason Compton, Capital Committee.
Oh, yeah, it's a regular meeting. I'm talking about for right now.
Oh, no.
I got one, Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead then.
This conservation board, we met via digital on Tuesday night, and there was some concern. There was a variation on what it would cost to back out of that grant. And at that time, it was estimated between 55 and 120,000. But I got an email from Ed today saying that the figure would be around $90,000 for us to back out of that grant. That's money that's already been spent. So that's to be decided if we back out of the grant. So
Well,
of course, there's a disappointment on their part too, because they feel like that, you know, we'll never get another shot at another grant if we back out of this one. So that's where that is.
I mean, it's like 89,000. I think that's what they told me that, but what that 89,000 covers what they basically already spent in it.
That's correct, sir.
why are we backing out?
Well, not going forward with it. Give us all the reasoning behind all that.
The reasoning for the 89, I mean, for the 90,000
Not
or the backing out?
going forward with
Why
it.
we're backing out, yeah.
Well, that was the budget committee's recommendation, was to back out of it and not go forward with it.
Because
And
we,
of course, you know, it's the time has already been, had we gotten it back when we first budgeted this thing, that money had been spent now, would have been through. But, and since it's got delayed coming in, now they want to delay the project entirely. And and there's a lot of disappointment. I've spoke with equestrian folks, and I've spoke with, you know, of course, the committee, the Conservation Board committee, and they all are disappointed. So
well, is anybody looking in the possibility of allowing this thing to be postponed in terms of when we can do it?
as to where, we have not gotten word as to whether we can legally do it or not. That's another question. I still not got an answer from that Maroney.
And I know that some recommendations. I mean, we're dealing with what are we looking at, $10-12 million shortfall, Karen?
About 10 million.
About 10 million shortfall. So naturally, they're looking at all areas to make this budget work. And I know that the recommendation was to close Beach Bluff Community Center, which that's not very,
That comes up every year.
yeah.
Every year we have to fight.
And well, it's not a matter of closing that. It's a matter of trying to make this thing work. And hopefully we can find a way to overcome that if it's possible.
Well, when can the budget committee tell you what to cut? They told them the first thing you cut is Beach Bluff.
They don't,
They did.
they
I
may
had
tell
two
them that,
people.
Barbara, but this is the recommendation. I mean, it's not
Well,
something that's gonna
Those
happen
people,
until we
Doug
vote on it.
Stevenson hates us every year.
Oh, no.
Every year. He
Doug
stops.
Stevenson don't want to, he's like most of us. Nobody wants to do that unless they have to.
He's done it every year. And he told me one year, he's rude and he's unkind, and I'm a lady, and I don't appreciate the way he talks to people and even other people. And one time I stopped him after we had been in a meeting, a caucus, and I waited for him. I don't know if it was last year or year before last. And I said, Doug, I need to talk to you about Beach Bluff School. And in the talking, he looked at me and he said, Barbara Johnson, I'll look you in the eyes. And he talked just like that. And I'll tell you, you're not getting that money. As if that money belonged to him. That's the people's money. And I'm really upset with it.
Well, okay, you're upset.
I'm really upset with it.
We ain't voted on it yet.
Well,
So you got a vote, he has a vote, and I have a vote. And so you, I'm for doing what we can, hopefully, to salvage that.
well, I would take a cut.
Cutting what?
But that, they told them when he went in there,
Well, let me
that
tell you,
meeting.
I'm not sure what y'all have a problem,
He
but he's doing now, he's got with Ed, he's trying to find a way to find some options for us not to have to do that.
Well, there's a
that
lot
would
of
be
other
acceptable.
places.
Huh?
There's a lot of other places that he could have taken up $5,000 or $3,000 or $4,000.
We're talking about 10 million, Barbara, we're not talking about 5.
I'm talking about
Beach
from
Bluff.
other people that we could get. I mean, I would be satisfied if we got 30,000. We are just now growing, Gary.
Okay, I'm on your
I
side,
know,
Barbara.
good.
I'm on your
But
side.
he was so.
Barbara, Barbara, you're down to about 121 members out there at the Beach Bluff thing. So you're spending $60,000 a year for 120 people.
Well, no,
The same attendance reports that y'all do, and we're averaging 600 a month before the COVID hit. I get the same attendance reports you get, Harold.
and it's not down to that. We've been having hundreds
But
of.
I mean, I'm explaining what the budget committee's thought process was at the time. This was during the budget committee hearings, and this was what they brought up. And so I'm not saying vote one way or the other here. I'm just letting you know what the facts exist and what their thought line was at the time during the meeting.
No, no,
Now, again, like Commissioner Deaton said, that, we ain't voted on it now. This is just out there for discussion, and then we'll go from there. So
And then,
and you just said $60,000 for Beach Bluff. Well, the report I got was 50,000. So y'all don't even know what.
it may be 50, Barbara. It may be. I may be wrong. So
what the other
it's
ones
50,
said.
it's 50,000, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Karen? It's 50,000.
What's that?
The expenditures last year.
my estimate was 50 to 60 because of the utility costs is
And they
Yes.
found there on my email, I've been out of town, I just got back yesterday. But on the email, someone, I don't know if it was Ed Smith or the budget committee has not warned us in any way or spoken about it, but somebody put on there. Yes, Commissioner Carl Alexander and Barbara Johnson have been told.
We weren't.
They know about it.
We were not.
And no official called us and told us. I got it on my email from a person in the community that knew it before I did.
Barbara,
It's-
okay.
I'm fired up.
Be fired up, but that's not gonna get us anywhere. What we gotta get to is, let's look at some things where we can make this work.
Well, I got a lot more things I can say.
Uh,
I've got a lot more things I can say, and they're not very nice.
well,
I
tell me
don't
what's
like
up,
us
Barbara.
having the same finance committee every year. They get their favorites. And
Well,
you bring-
you have a vote. We vote on the
I
budget
know.
committee. We vote on the finance committee. Everybody votes.
They click together, they just, I'm
Well,
sorry.
I'm gonna make you happy. This is my last go around. So when this thing's over.
Mr. Chairman, I got one other committee report, and that's the property committee. They did not meet because we failed to have a quorum. We had a problem with the attendance there.
But let me ask you this. Carl, I talked with Barry, what was his name? I'm a son of a gun. See, I can't even remember. I just talked to him an hour ago.
It's been kind of 2 days for me too.
But he talked about the membership out there, and I don't know that that's a big deal, but the big deal would be that it shows people out there want to support it. And it's only $25 a year. If that group would get together and looks like he said, I think we can get a whole lot more than that.
Well-
If somebody works on it.
Well,
Yeah,
and see,
but
they're
we-
keeping head count. It's the
Yeah.
only Parks and Rec venue that we're keeping a head count.
And
on.
we just got, I found out, Ed told me back in January, I think, he said, it's not money anymore. It's,
Foot traffic.
yeah, participation. And we can't keep that building, they can't keep that building open, they say. And they've had how many people at those suppers up there? And
Several.
To make 100 at least.
And what?
They have been making supper one night a
Doing
month.
one night a month, they have a
And
supper
at
up
least
there.
100 people come and they sell out
Yeah,
every,
you got an auction out there that's been.
Yes.
And he's gonna come every month?
You got some kind of,
They got a country
Dance.
music dance thing that's gonna come on Saturday nights.
and
And,
she called me, well, she had left me a message when I came in yesterday, and I called her back. And
did you have a daycare too?
daycare, summer camp, all that.
last year we had 80 kids in
Got a,
daycare.
you got a dancing school. I don't know what's her name.
Miss Lisa, Mona Lisa Lanier.
Yeah, she's really passionate about it.
And
She's
she
really
told-
Well, the day camp hadn't been active because of the because of the pandemic.
Yeah, we would probably have, how much did you say we had, Carl?
We were
35?
averaging 600 a month, according to the figures that Ed was turning over, keeping up with. We were averaging about 600 a month using the structure. And that wasn't including, to my knowledge, that wasn't including the rentals and stuff like that. I don't think Gary's auction numbers were included in that either. So
Well, and there's some poor people living out there, little women that have to go. A lot of them probably work in factories and things, and they have children, and, you know, they make minimum wage, and you get a discount out there. And, you know, we don't have a thing in Beach Bluff anymore.
Don't have what?
We don't have a thing that the county pays for. We've got a state highway and a federal post office, but not one penny do we get out of our tax money.
Got a volunteer fire department.
Yeah,
got a
they're
sheriff.
volunteers.
We
so
got a
they-
big sheriff's department, pay a lot of money to patrol Beach Bluff. You forgot about the sheriff's department.
Well,
Barbara, I know what you're saying.
I know.
And what,
I
what-
appreciate it.
let's go the other direction. Let's find ways we can make this work.
well, I would love that.
Finding ways that it won't work.
That's why I'm crying and upset
Okay,
because
well-
I want that. And I appreciate you being so
Let's
nice.
let's see if we
Nice to
can't find some way. And I think, and Doug wants to find some ways too, and the budget committee does, but they got so much on their plate, Barbara. If you just knew what they were going through, we could all realize that this whole budgeting process here, we've never had to face this before.
I know.
I don't know how
but
we can get
have
through
to-
it.
We have to face this every year. And,
Not just, no, we don't
you
face
have
it.
had to fight.
This
every year.
budget, I'm talking about the overall budget, not just one segment of it.
But even
But
though
let's-
when it was good, we had to face it.
But you still, you may face it, but
And I'm telling you, I was on the budget committee 3 years. And when Doug came in, I got put off. I don't know why. Nobody asked me if I wanted to put off or what. But anyway, I got put off. We never, ever had 1 minute of trouble out of the budget. Not 1 minute.
Well,
Maria Mitchell was chairman of it, and Bill Sykes, and they were wonderful to work with. And Gary's just a big old, I don't know what. I know, but I won't say it.
you shouldn't say it because Doug is doing, he's the hardest working commissioner we got. Whether you know it or not.
Or his own good, I guess. I don't know. I don't know, but I don't like what's going on.
Well, I can't, I don't know what to tell you other than the fact that,
Well, just
the
help me.
budget committee is doing they've got a lot on their plate and they don't need to be criticized for trying to do what the best thing they do. You may not agree with them, but
Well,
give them an opportunity to put
is
it out.
this being recorded?
Sure, it's been recorded.
Well, there's some on there that don't even know how to handle their own finances.
I don't know.
So why would we want
Okay, let's move on.
handling Madison County's money?
Well, I don't know. That's a good point. I don't know. I ain't got a clue. I don't know how to handle my finances either. Here I'm sitting here on the finance committee. Won't y'all throw me off? That's what you need to do.
Are you on the
Going
finance
back
committee?
to
Yeah.
this deal where we're not participating in this grant, it's because it's got to be matching money, right?
Matching dollars, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that was like, how much? That was like $175,000, you remember?
The match is 500,000. It was 250 in this fiscal year.
That's right,
250
that's right,
next
Yeah,
fiscal.
yeah.
yeah.
And then the state would give you
I thought I
500.
remembered that.
hadn't we voted to approve that before?
We voted to approve it, but we ain't acted upon it.
Okay, okay.
You
But you-
approved it, but so far you've only spent, like Commissioner Petty said, about $90,000.
Okay,
And we
okay.
spent that money on,
Design,
Design,
Southwest Grant
yeah.
Administration,
Oh, you had said
Southwest
one
design
thing.
fees,
Mhm.
yeah, some
So
small.
if we gave this money back, we have to
We have to
refund,
pay the
that-
90,000.
yeah.
But what the capital budget committee was looking at is whereas right now you've got 500,000 committed, you'd still have 411 to put toward other capital.
I think what aren't they trying to see if we can't push us down the road without
Yes.
them
and,
stall for a year?
Right, they had asked Ed to talk to the department that he received this grant from to see if they might give us a grant extension for a
Right,
couple of
right.
years.
And I heard a little bit back from Ed on that. He said 4 or 5 months they were willing to do, but if it went into the next budget year, we're talking 12 months, they said no,
Those grants don't fool.
it'll be gone.
That's a shame considering the situation.
They don't fool with, I know from government.
That
Yeah.
was on the news today, I think.
Yeah, okay. Anything else anybody wants to
Been
give
on,
us some positive information on?
Some positive, Gary, I'm sorry.
while we've been in, you say, anything else, that's what you said?
Yeah.
I don't have anything, but I got particularly what you said. While we've been in, you giving everybody a chance to vent. I don't know.
And you really let me do it. I feel better.
You feel better? Okay.
Well, that's good.
No, it's hurting.
That's-
It doesn't affect me, but it affects my people.
Affects your people.
Yes.
Well, they're my people too.
No,
They're
they're not.
Tommy's people too.
I'm
They're
your,
Carl's people too.
And they my people, because I work for the government and that, Madison County was my district.
Yeah.
So I had that 32 and a half years when you
but
said
you're
something about
not their
Madison
county
County, I'm all
commissioner.
around.
You're
So
not
that's
their
my part
county
of it.
commissioner.
You just going down, picking items.
One more thing, and see what was the other area in insurance that we covered that, something will come up. Let's talk, you made this, Karen, about the agency that's handling our liability out of the pool.
Oh, the insurance increase that Mike
Yeah,
Winslow has
yeah,
talked about.
yeah.
Yes, the firm that is handling the property and liability insurance has proposed, and Mike Winslow says part of this is because we're considered a risk because of our lawsuits now, a $90,000 increase.
We got a $90,000 increase, but here's the other side of the coin that we're looking at. Mike Winslow basically handles everything. And the agent that represents the pool is Stephen Eldridge, is that
That's
correct?
correct.
Yeah. His commission is
Michael
about,
Eldridge, Stevens.
Mike, okay. It's about $60,000 a year. We can go direct to the pool, my understanding, and Mike Winslow can handle it anyways, and we can avoid that that
increase.
cost. So we reduced that 90,000 down to about 30,000 increase. And I know that's not gonna be real popular, but it makes good sense to do it.
Well, and again.
And Mike does all the work.
Mhm.
I sat through the budget hearings and I understand how some things were handled, but it is the most difficult budget probably this county is facing just because of one, the unknowns. You know, we're sitting here saying a $10 million shortfall. There are so many unknowns with this pandemic that are going to hit. And as I've shared with you last month, business tax, sales tax, hotel motel tax, gas tax. And we're trying to glean as much information as we can from all the sources. So, you know, right or wrong, there's been a lot of things that have been cut and decisions made. And as I voiced in the budget hearings, a lot of your small departments have been just beat to a pulp trying to get reductions to be ready for a fund balance of what the unknown is with litigation facing you. So I'm not applauding or, you know, I'm just saying this year is more challenging probably than anything you faced.
And we got this jail coming online
True.
right, this year. This
And
year.
Dr. Fossey, or whatever his name is, Fossey, says that this is gonna be the darkest winter we've ever had.
Dr. Who?
What's his name?
Fauci.
Fauci,
Dr.
Fauci, yeah.
Well, you know, I have not a lot of respect for Dr. Fauci, so I don't care what he said. What was the another area we usually look at? Okay, let's just go through this very rapidly, so we can get through this. Do you have something, Carl?
Well, we're going to take up those resolutions that we've had them put
Yeah.
off, but since before COVID started.
15, 16, and 17.
Right.
Yeah. And I called Sarah today to ask if Stan Pilot will be at the meeting. I take it that he will be.
I got
So we can deal with it. Our meeting Monday will be an open meeting.
that's 12.
Did you say we have 19 commissioners who will be there
So far.
so far? Okay.
Yeah, I got that page.
Is that the resolutions about the chicken pond?
No, this is the resolutions concerning the wording changing in the flood zone on the planning, outer region planning committee.
They're not on.
I knew
the
they were
agenda.
on the table because we had skipped them over because we kind of had to
We've
had to
got,
deal with them in person.
Where are we?
oh, number 11.
These right here did not get added to the packet, but are added to the agenda, but they are added to the packet. So y'all will have to bring those up.
This is not on the agenda.
No, one was approved by the financial management committee, it's just a copy of resolution, because Steve is having us do resolutions. The second was the resolution that we're required to do to get the money from the state, from the Governor Lee's, designation to counties and cities, and so we have to have a resolution approved before I can send it in the state to request the money July 1.
Okay, Monday, if you will, make sure you remind me of that when it happens. And okay, on number 11, we've got a nonprofit committee vacancy, so there'll be an appointment there, which I think Aaron Nelson wanted that seat, I believe, or requested for, I think.
Who resigned?
He resigned.
Claudette
Claudette
Brown.
Brown resigned.
And he wanted Elderson to take his place. That's
Yeah.
our-
Well, we can nominate him, and if any other nomination, then we'll vote on it.
Elderson.
That's 10.
It's that was number 10, number 11.
That's 10, but
We got any Fred, any help on the adult oriented committee?
Agenda here.
I left you one.
Hmm.
Right there.
it's on 10.
That's not the one I got.
You got 10.
Got 10 up there.
Number 11 is the adult oriented committee. Fred will need some help on that.
It's 10.
Did you bring me one in here? This is what I brought with me.
Yeah, you have one on here.
I brought it with me.
Hold on.
You got mine. It's got 11 on it,
That's okay.
but that's all it's got. It's 11 and 12.
Well, I've got 10 too.
Yeah, he
That's
does.
10.
Well, he gets like 3 copies
Oh, okay.
ahead of time.
Okay, number 11 is appointment. And we do have somebody for that, a lawyer that, I believe, don't they have the resume turned in, or did they get it turned in?
Yes, they did.
They do, okay.
It's in your packets.
It's in the packet, and that was, we found an attorney who wants to serve on that. That'll be good. Under number 12, we got Smokey Rowland, who will be coming off. We need a appointment, nomination there. Number 13, let's see, who else is coming off of there? Anybody?
Who is the lawyer?
That's the one I
there?
I don't have 13.
We got those ones.
We just look at it up here.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Number 14, Larry Lawrence, under appointment of 8 members to the Municipal Solid Waste Planning Board. Larry Lawrence will be coming off, and then have a nomination there. Now, on number 15, had to be postponed because the Finance Committee did not appoint anyone for the Long Range Planning Committee. The Long Range Planning Committee hadn't really met in a long, long time.
Mm-mm.
So we either need to meet or remove it. So 16, 17, and 18 are the 3 resolutions we talked about last month. That's what you're talking about, Carl.
Mhm.
And Stan will be there. There'll be an open meeting, so be a public meeting, so then they can be voted on. And the number 19 is discussion of possibility of closing Beach Bluff Community Center. So that will be discussed. I think we can, between now and then, if anybody got any good suggestions how to lift this up, I think some of the things, I think some of the activities there need to be brought to the floor and what's going on there. Hey, who's out there that would be a good, someone to represent that?
Johnny usually is a pretty good spokesman. John Arnold.
John Arnold, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
He's the co-chair.
Yeah, and
So what we're told, why don't y'all have him there just to go over the areas of the things, what's going on there?
is the public going to be allowed?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if we were going to have room for them
They
or
will
not.
have to be screened
That have to be
At the
screened
door.
and,
Okay,
and bring a mask.
okay.
And they, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't tell John to be there. I don't know if problem.
now, what about, was there any hail damage to that roof recently? Do you know of?
They hadn't mentioned it.
Somebody said something to me that said it was brought up and nobody did, I didn't know anything about it.
Well, and looking at the numbers on that, there was a question though. It went from Karen, you can answer this. It went from 66 this current budget year to next year projected 90,000. What was that for?
Again, that would be an Ed. I just pulled it straight, and that's the reason I
So
copied him.
maybe it was for some damage, cover some damage or something. I don't know.
That's why I copied him, about the
Yeah,
numbers, because I
yeah.
wanted him to make sure I had not
Mhm.
overlooked, so.
Well, he'll be there. He'll be there
Mine
Monday,
was
so we can
just
ask him.
pulling straight data from the information, and Miss Barbara has a copy of the information also.
How much, what type of expenses for, they got the employees involved in
Yes.
budget?
They do, yeah, they do. And then most of their day camp people are part-time, but there was some, you have to pay social security, so.
Yeah,
So there was
that was
line
a big
items
factor.
related to salaries and wages for the day camp, social security for the day camp, other salaries and wages, and I think that's for some staff that opens it during the times and stays
Mhm.
out there, and then the social security, then utilities. And then he has a line item called Beach Bluff, and I think that was just for like the miscellaneous type expenses, but
Could you reduce some of those expenses as far as the employees are? Can you get any volunteers in that area?
We have got some volunteers that are working in
I'm
that
talking about the
area.
ones we're paying though. Can you replace them with volunteers?
When we always ask
I mean,
them.
I've been thinking of all the possibilities you could have to
Right.
reduce cost down, so you
Mhm.
keep it going. Maybe it'd be temporary.
I have a question. The teacher that's teaching out there, the dance, does she get paid for that?
Yeah,
But she gets paid by the students.
She gets paid by the students.
yes, she gets paid, the students pay her, yeah.
And she called me, I returned her call, and she said that was the best place that she wants to come and speak.
Yeah, I talked to her today.
Did you? And she said it was the best place she had ever
But
worked.
I felt like she would be getting a salary or something for working. I didn't hear her name called.
But I think all of those things are things they're looking at, trying to find a way to reduce this down, so it's,
They're
Find some
good, they're
solution.
good things.
Well,
They're things
and
that are good for the community and the people.
one thing that I've noticed out there, and I don't know why it's still happening or in existence, but those portable buildings, it was always attached to that building.
yeah.
Each have their own independent commercial service coming in from Southwest Electric, and there's still meters in them, and the exit signs are still lit on. Why are we still paying for that?
I mean, those all areas somebody should be looking into.
And I mean, that's, if it's like what I would have on my barn at home,
Well, actually,
that's
those-
$70 a month,
Those
each one.
portables, are you sure they even hooked up?
There's
Yes.
about six.
Yeah,
five or
We
six
was
of them.
willing to give those away if somebody come get them.
Mhm. And, but they've all still got meters in them, the exit light's still lit and everything on them. And, if it's like I would pay on my barn for a commercial service,
you
it's
ask this?
$70 a month, and that's
Why don't you
times
ask Smith
5.
what they're using those for then?
They're not using
They're not used.
I know, but why they got hooked up for then?
them, right? Or why are they unhooked?
Why aren't they up yet?
Right.
What about the auctions? Does
Gary Leonard is running those.
does that make money? For
It's a
the-
rental.
for
It's a
the
rental.
center?
It's a rental, yes. He rents it. And of course, he's already gone to the trouble of putting a phone line in down there and everything for his credit card machines and everything for, his auctions and all. But,
How much rent does he pay?
that is a big question Ed will have to answer, as I do not know.
I mean, that revenue is not that much, Tommy. That's the problem. There's not a great deal of revenue coming in to offset some of the expenditures of utilities and what other things. And that could be some of the problem that we have. It's just like the city. I mean, they're always in a hole on their buildings that they rent and lease,
With the exception of Fairgrounds.
If it's before, all right.
It's the only ones that made a profit.
Mhm.
Do you know anything about a grant for the fire department?
You talking about city or county?
County.
What kind of grant?
Well, rumor we're in, already got some people quit at work to transfer over there, some full-time positions at the county fire department.
Full-time position.
Yes.
It's paid by grant money, but that will.
But the only thing I could think of was it was a grant, because I mean, I know we don't have the money for that.
Not anything that I remember.
We've already had one guy turn his notice in and left. Monday was his last day. And, that's where he said he was going, was over
Going
in
to work
county.
about full-time at
Madison County, yeah.
I ain't got a clue what that'd be.
Well, I know that when I asked the departments about open positions, I think Eric had one or two. I don't know what they
Okay.
were, but unless he's going to one of those open positions.
That could possibly be it.
I don't
yeah.
know of any, we've not accepted or had amendments on any new grants for the fire department.
Well, he said on his way out the door, he said there was gonna be 14 of them eventually. So I was like, well, wait a minute, man, there's something ain't right here somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's all changed. I
Good.
hope we didn't leave too early.
Yeah, me and you both. All right, that answered my question.
Maybe.
Anybody got anything else they need to discuss that's on the agenda?
No, but I apologize for being upset.
Well, I accept it then.
I thank you, Gary, for being so kind and letting me.
You told me I wasn't kind. You used to tell me I was a mean man.
When did I tell you that? Oh,
We've
man.
got 5 commissioners on the call as well.
Anybody on call would like to say anything? Got anything you want to discuss? Ask any questions? Give any solutions? Any recommendations? Anybody there?
I can offer no help, Mr. Chairman.
You can do what?
Offer no help.
No,
I can offer no help at this time.
come on, Harold. You got a little simplify in you, brother. I know you can help.
Well, I mean, I love my people. And I've always been bullied and standing up for what you thought was
Well,
right.
I love Madison County, and we got a lot of people in Madison County, and we got a big budget to deal with, so we got a lot of problems to
I know
overcome.
we do.
And so
I know
that's
we
where we
do.
are.
I know we got money problems. I know. We
But-
also can't lose sight of the fact of doing away with the quality of life issues that make this county where people won't live and raise
Oh,
families too.
I'm with you, and I think we got to figure out a way to
do
overcome
that.
that.
You're right.
I'm not sure how we're gonna do that, but we're gonna work on it. Right, Katie?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. I agree with that. We can work on it and work.
And,
it.
Now you the elephant, one bite at a time.
That's right. And
There you
work
go.
together with it.
But Barbara, you got a good budget committee. They know what they're doing. They understand finances. And Doug is a hard-working young man. You give him credit. You may not like him, but I'm telling you, he does a hard, am I right, Karen?
He has put a lot of time into it.
Puts a lot of
Yeah, I
time.
know that.
It's almost, for a guy who gets $300 a month, is full-time, he must make about, he's not making pennies on the dollar here.
Making $4,000 a year, maybe.
What did she say?
Well, he's making $300 a month for 12 months. He's not making enough money to pay my,
No,
Insurance.
because he don't do it for money, you know. Like, I don't think any of us do it for money. If we did, we wouldn't be sitting here.
Back to this grant, we have to, we can't, you said we couldn't borrow anything as far as 5 or 6 months. They won't put it off.
He said he could put it off if it was gonna be 4 or 5 months. He said Nashville told him they would work with him in that regard if it was gonna be 4 or 5 months longer. But if it was gonna go into the next budget year and be 12 months, no, that they weren't willing to.
So when do we?
Because it's
have-
already been on the books for 12
when do
months, I
we
think.
have
Yeah.
to Come up with the 500,000.
The grant expires June 30th, 2021, which means it has to be built and completed by the end of the grant.
Mhm.
And you don't have
And
money
you
to
guys
do
have
all
not
that.
even started on it yet. You've done the design and you've had the grant administrator to help with the design and all, but nothing. And so that's where the $89,800 something comes from. But,
So when do we have to come up with our part of the matching grant?
well, that we'd have to work out with the state. More than likely, they're going to want us to pay it back between now and June 30th. If we tell them that we're not going to carry over to next fiscal year. But again, I've not talked to
You're
anyone in
talking
the
about the
state,
90,000,
the 90 that we would owe back, yes.
but when do we have to come up with the 500,000?
Well, it has to be budgeted in our capital budget this next year. And that's the reason the committee was looking at doing away with it because
They can't see it.
of the borrowed money, or the match money, there's only been reflected like 4,000 spent, and the rest was the state money. So they were looking at the fact that that would put $490-something thousand back into the capital budget coffers, should there be emergency situations like courthouse roof or something else that came up.
I got
They were trying to free up those dollars for other capital emergencies,
Mhm.
so.
Instead of.
Yeah, I remember that in the capital committee.
And perhaps, and I don't know if Ed has talked to Mayor Harris, maybe Mayor Harris could say, look, we'd like it. I don't know who the grant came, I think it came through environmental conservation, if I'm not mistaken. To plead our case to say we're in the middle of a pandemic, could we at least extend it one fiscal year? I don't know. I have not talked, Ed's done all that
I think we
correspondence.
need to do that.
I mean,
If we
And
could,
again, I
it would be
don't-
great, you know.
yeah, that would be great. And I've done grant extensions before and I can't see that they would deny it, but
The other thing we have that's coming up, that's on in the budget, would be the fact that the state has given constitutional officers a 3.46% pay increase,
Mhm.
which is asinine in my mind. That you're talking about a morale pressure. I can't believe the state won't waiver that. What do you think, Karen?
they're looking very strongly at it, and I know that the mayor has been a part of the West Tennessee Mayors Association, and all of them are asking for that collectively, so it's not just us asking for that waiver, but
When do they go back in session?
June 1st.
June first.
What about the maintenance of effort?
And they look at that too.
They're looking at that as well, and I've talked to Representative Todd about that, and that is on their agenda. I've been in correspondence with several finance directors across the state who are facing the same issues that we are. The problem is, if we put the maintenance of effort in, of course, all of our revenues that are state revenues have been reduced by a percentage, and of course, that's what's affecting the maintenance of effort school system. You may have received phone calls from board members and so forth. The problem is, if we put it in and the money is not there, you either correct the issues on the front end or pay on the back end. The problem on the back end is the expenditures may have been incurred, and then you were looking at a shortfall after it's already been spent.
Right.
So
Right.
that's where
Sound
we
like
are.
a tax increase.
Well, it would be a pretty steep tax increase, let me tell you. You're probably looking at 75 cents to $1 to maintain what they currently have. And I don't think anybody wants to do that to people that have lost their jobs in the middle of the
Well, we got
pandemic.
our largest employer in the county right now. It's got 1,200 people furloughed.
Exactly.
You've got the ones that are left working 32-hour work weeks instead of 40. I mean, that's not a time to kick.
And to
People
give you
in
an
the
idea,
van, you
it's
know.
not something that is just facing our county.
No,
Wilson County is proposing, their school board is proposing a $10.3 million cut in their budget. Now, I know they're larger than we are here in Madison County, but they understand and they're trying to work with their commissioners because number one, they were hit by a tornado and the COVID. So it's not something that's just facing Madison
lost
County,
three
it is
schools.
statewide.
they lost 3 schools.
Yeah. Well, everybody's protecting their turf and they want to, if you're going to cut somewhere else. But we got to cut across the board in all areas, and we've got to look at it from that viewpoint. Do the very best we can, what we got to work with. Because I don't know that anybody wants a tax increase.
I don't.
The thoughts of even, and like Karen just said, we're not talking about a nickel or a dime. We're talking about 75 to 80 cents on property tax, which would be in small business in Madison County, whether y'all watched it tonight, is in real serious trouble.
Right. Well, and I mean, that, to me, it seems like it's a perfect time to start looking into these duplication of services we got going on too.
But I think the idea of it across the board is a good idea. I mean, it doesn't hurt to
Well, that's
take a
what it's
little,
going, it'll be across the board.
take
yeah.
a little from everybody.
Yeah, and that's what the budget committee was looking at, and that's why I said your small departments did a tremendous job at making that 3% cuts they were originally asked to do.
And we still got the sheriff's lawsuit to deal with, and we don't know it just being pushed down the road. Was it October, I believe now?
It's October the 12th through the
Yeah,
13th.
so I don't know what's gonna come of that. Anybody else got anything else?
Motion to adjourn.
You did a good job,
Motion adjourned.
Gary.
Okay, folks, we're out of here.
Thank you.
Appreciate all your input, all your positive comments.
What about the next